The Bible say, the king was greatly distressed, but because of his oaths and his dinner guests, he did not want to refuse her, so he immediately sent an executioner with orders to bring John's head. The man went, beheaded John in the prison, and brought back his head on a platter. Brethren, I was still in the hospital, and it was the 7th day when the Lord appeared and said, "We must travel." We started to move, and arrived before a building that I saw in 2012 and a vision when I was poisoned. Then the Lord opened the gate of the building. When we enter, I was stunned, because I saw people head everywhere. They were head of men and women laid down like in an exposition. I noticed many of these heads were of women. These head had wig. They had weaving, and all kind of hair attachment. There were also many men head. I was wondering whose head are these. The Lord said, I showed you this place in the past, but you have forgotten. The heads that you see here are that of men and women of God, only servant of God. Deborah, I want to warn you that the heads of men and women of God have great value in the eyes of Satan. He will kill thousands of unbelievers to get the head of a man of God. He find great joy in bringing down men of God. Deborah, when a man of God is living in sin, the devil will be in great delight, because there is high price in the spirit world for the souls of God ministers. The dragon is waging a great war and has promised great rewards to evil forces that will bring the head of men of God. Satan has been seeking the head of God's servant men and women. I said, Lord, what do you mean when you are talking about the great price and value that Lucifer has put on the head of God's servant? Is Satan a salesman? Does he sell their head? The Lord said, he is not a salesman, but whenever Lucifer managed to conquer the soul of a man or woman of God, he feel triumph and celebrate, for defeating those who oppose him on earth, and after conquering the souls of imprudent servant, Satan turned their head to cup and goblets, that princes and principality used in dark gathering when they drink juices and beers, which is human blood. The cup that dark power and evil ruler used in order to drink blood are made from the head of men and women of God that Satan has conquered and defeated. I saw that when Lucifer was drinking blood accompanied with his infernal and celestial prince, he took his goblet of blood and he looked at it with delight, and said, really, this is the head of the man of God who was burning me and my demon, sending us fire. This is the skull of this man who was forcing me and my demon to drink the blood of his master in order to destroy us. You fought me and my kingdom, but who is victorious now? I have overcome you, man of God, and today I am drinking human blood with your head that has become my goblet. Sometimes people of God lose the sight of the 24-hour battle in which they are involved because of failure to keep the focus on eternal things. They get distracted and slacken in their daily devotion. That's when the door of their life open, and the enemy enter. But the soldier of Christ must rise immediately when he fall and continue the battle for his soul. For every second and every minute matter in this intense war. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood. I asked the Lord, I can see the head of God's servant here, but what about their bodies? The Lord said, Deborah, if you die in sin, your head will become a Lucifer goblet, and your body will be cooked and devoured by Lucifer and his principality. You will become their food. I said, really, if I died in sin, my body will be their food and my head will be turned to their cup. The Lord said, you are right. That's when I began to contemplate the head of men and women of God, and I managed to recognize late men and women of God that we know. They serve God all their life, but they fail to overcome the flesh, the world and Satan. I said, Lord, I can see the head of a lady gospel singer. She was singing really good when she was alive, and we all dance with her praise song. She should not be here. The Lord said, Deborah, you are right. She was singing for God, but she was full of vanity. What do you see on her head? When I looked, I saw that she was wearing hair attachment, that had a lot of hair. The Lord said, I will show you her nails in another room, because she was using artificial nails. God was not honored by her painted face, her hair attachment, and hair eyelash and her artificial hair. She was defeated by the devil because of attachment and vanity. She was also living in fornication. At the end of her life she resorted to occultism. That is why she is here. When she died, the devil took his head and turned it to her goblet. Deborah, tell my servant they must not to mix God with sins. They must not to mix God with the world. God has his principle that they must keep. You people are not obeying God, like this singer. She was singing for God, but she was sleeping with men, wearing artificial hair. People in churches are covering their head, but these gospel singers want to exhibit their painted face and wig. Deborah, I want you to know that whenever someone is singing for me and she has painted face, hair attachment and the adornment of the world, I closed my ear to her singing. When they dress with the brand of the beast, I closed my ears. Today there are people who are pastors but have locks on their head. I don't approve of these behaviors. There are pastors putting earring. I am not honored by that. They are perming their hair and say there is no big deal. How come when I post something my children will still do it and say there is no big deal? The Lord said today there are women preaching in front of the people, but they are wearing legging. They are wearing lady pant. They said it's modernity and Western culture. The Lord said, I want you, Deborah, to tell the church in Africa to remain in African culture of modesty and decency. You must forget about the Western culture. I am working with you, but you don't want to obey me. Look at the head of all these women that served me were conquered by the opponent because of attachment to the adornment of Jezebel. Then we left that place when we went to the second gate. When we enter the second gate, I saw countless hand and feet of servant of God that the devil has conquered. I saw many artificial nails on the finger on these hand and feet. These hands were long like that of queens of seduction because they were long. I saw many finger with nail polish. I saw many long nail. I saw countless hand with bracelet and chain. The Lord said, look at your hand that you boast about. Look at the artificial finger. Deborah, go tell the world I visited the 12 gate of Satan, and I saw the hand and feet of men of God. Those who've painted their finger and wearing artificial nails are not honoring God. The items of Jezebel does not honor God. They are the mark of the beast. Tell men of God to avoid serving me in sin, otherwise Satan will conquer their souls. He will devour their flesh, which will be his food. He will turn their head into his cup and will expose their hand and feet like an exhibition in the second gate. How can they go to heaven if the enemy can do whatever he wants with their body? Those who followed the model of Jezebel will perish like her. If I add in abomination Jezebel because of these items that are foreign God, how come you have adopted Jezebel way? Then we left and entered the third gate. Nowhere I saw eyes of many servant of God that failed to make it to heaven because they lost the war for their souls. My attention were especially on eyes women servant of God. These eyes had eyelash and mascara. The Lord said, with these eyelash how will my servant make it to the kingdom of heaven? Do you know that Jezebel killed a lot of prophet and she killed Naboth? But it's when she began to apply these mascara that I decided to end her life. Deborah, don't you notice that when you wear these eyelash you look like witches and charlatan? When the pastor wives and the singer put eyelash I considered them charlatan. You must tell them my words. Deborah, do you know that if it not be for the covenant that I concluded with you I would have killed you a long time ago? It's because of that covenant where you agree to give your body to be used as an instrument and I agree to protect you and your children that I have mercy on you. Deborah, do you know that there were times where you were entering churches to testify with painted face, and whenever you reach the part of the testimony where I rebuke vanity and makeup you were uncomfortable to tell the people because you had painted face and you were being superficial and short in order to avoid mentioning vanity? I was angry against you for failing to rebuke the adornment of Jezebel. I wanted to end your life because of that, but I remembered my covenant with you. Now I command you, even if you have painted face, you will speak and tell the church exactly my will and thought about painted face. You will not try to hide my rebuke against vanity, attachment and adornment of Jezebel. You will tell them, since I Deborah am wearing makeup I will go to hell. Warn them because time is short. Why are you wearing eyelash? Do you know that the day you will die you will stand in the queue before the gate of heaven? That's when Satan will come with your eyes that has eyelash to accuse you and condemn you because of it. Let me ask you, Deborah, I said let's make men in our image and our likeness. Do you really believe that I created people ugly? Can people be in my image and be ugly? Why are you trying to change your nature? Now go tell the world I saw the 12 gate of the enemy. Jeremiah 4 verse 30. He presented it to the girl, and she gave it to her mother. 29. On hearing of this, John's disciples came and took his body and laid it in a tomb.